Assalamualaikum. Hello everyone. In this video, we will talking about Beowulf. Before we start, let me introduce your group member. My name is Zalika Cherista.
My name is Faqih Ababil.
My name's Nadia Salsabila.
And my name is Shidqi Zeiddan Ghiffara.
Okay, let's the show begin. Beowulf is a heroic epic poem written by an unknown author in Old English, sometime between the 8th and 10th century. It is one of the most important works of Anglo-Saxon literature and has been the subject of much scholarly study, theory, speculation, and discourse. It tells the story of the hero.
Hey!
Hi, Beowulf. This story tells us about his battles against the monster Grendel and Grendel's mother, and against an unnamed dragon. Nadia will explain more details.
Beowulf falls into two parts. It begins in Denmark, where King Hrothgar's splendid Midhall. Heorot has been revenged for 12 years by nightly visits from an evil monster, Grendel, who carries off Hrothgar's warriors and devours them. Unexpectedly, young Beowulf, prince of the Geats of southern Sweden, arrives with a small band of retainers and offers to cleanse Heorot of its monsters.
Yeah, that's me!
Hrothgar is astonished at the little-known hero's daring, but welcomes him, and after an evening of feasting, much courtesy and some discourtesy, the king retires, leaving Beowulf in charge. During the night, Grendel comes from the moors, tears open the heavy doors, and devours one of the sleeping Geats. He then grapples with Beowulf. With powerful grip, he cannot escape. He wrenches himself free, tearing of his arms, and leaves mortally wounded. The next day is one of rejoicing in Heorot, but at night, as the warriors sleep, Grendel's mother comes to revenge her son, killing one of Hrothgar's men.
Hold on, wait a second.
In the morning, Beowulf seeks her out in her cave at the bottom of a mere and kills her. He cuts the head from Grendel's mother's corpse and returns to Heorot. The Danes rejoice once more. Hrothgar makes a forward speech about the character of the true hero as Beowulf, enriched with honors, a princely gift, returns home to King Hygelac of the Geats. And the second part passes rapidly over King Hygelac's subsequent death in the battle of the death of his son, and Beowulf's succession to the kingship and his peaceful rule of 50 years.
Yeah, it's me, Beowulf.
But now a fire-breathing dragon revenged his land and doubtly but a King Beowulf changed it.
Let me have this, boys. Let me help you.
The fight is long and terrible, and a painful contrast to the battles of his youth. Painful, too, is the destruction of his retainers, except for his young kinsman, Beowulf.
We can do this. I'm coming.
Beowulf kills the dragon, but is mortally wounded. The poem ends with his funeral rites and a lament.
Beowulf is the longest poem written in Old English. The author is unknown and represents a question that has mystified readers for centuries. It is generally thought that the poem was performed orally by memory, by the poet, or by a spook, a traveling entertainer, and was passed down in this way, passed down to readers and listeners, or that it was finally written down at the request of a king who wanted to hear it again. Old English poetry used alternative method, meaning that the stressed words in a line begin with the same sound. A line of Old English poetry has two halves, with a brief pause called a caesura in the middle of the line. The two halves of a line are linked by the alliteration. At least three words in a line. The poet also made use of a stylistic device called caning, a method of naming a person or thing by using a phrase that signified a quality of the person or thing. Example given, a warrior might be described as the helmet bearing.
The poet attempts to some extent to reconcile the human and the heroic side of Beowulf's personality. Although he is described as greater and stronger than anyone anywhere in the world and clearly commands immediate respect and attention, he is also portrayed as courteous, patient, and diplomatic in his manner. The Danish king Hrothgar is perhaps the most human character in the poem, and the person with whom it might be easiest for us to identify. He appears wise, but also lacking the courage expected of a great warrior king, and age has clearly robbed him of the power to act decisively. The old king modest show of vanity in building the huge hall. Herod, as a permanent monument to his achievement, is perhaps the only real flaw.
I'm old, you know.
The character of Beowulf in the second part of the poem, although a relatively minor character, is nevertheless important to the overall structure of the poem. He represents the young warrior who helps the aging King Beowulf in his battle against the dragon in the second part of the poem. In much the same way as the younger Beowulf helped King Hrothgar in the first part, he is a perfect example of the idea of comitatus, the loyalty of the warrior to his leader, and while all his fellow warriors flee the dragon in fear, Beowulf alone comes to the aid of his king. Like the young Beowulf, he is also a model of self-control, determined to act in a way that he believes to be right.
Did anyone cosplay as Grendel?
No.
I see Grendel around here, so that's a real Grendel, right?
お前はもう死んでいる。何？
The monster Grendel is an extreme example of evil and corruption, possessing no human feelings except hatred and bitterness toward mankind. However, unlike human beings, who can contain elements of good and evil, there seems to be no way that Grendel can ever be converted to goodness. As much as he stands for a symbol of evil, Grendel also represents disorder and chaos, a projection of all that was most frightening to the Anglo-Saxon mind.
Thank you, Shidqi. I will explain about the theme. Let's move from here. I don't want to see more Grendel. The main theme of the poem is the conflict between good and evil, most obviously exemplified by the physical conflict between Beowulf and Grendel. However, good and evil are also presented in the poem not as mutually exclusive opposites, but as dual qualities present in everyone. The poem also makes clear our need for a code of ethics which allows members of society to relate to one another with understanding and trust. Another theme is that of youth and age. In the first part, we see Beowulf as the young, daring prince in contrast with Hrothgar, the wise but aging king. In the second part, Beowulf the aging but still heroic warrior in contrasted with his young follower Wiglaf. In some ways, Beowulf represents a link between two traditions, the old pagan tradition and the new tradition of the Christian religion. The poet, probably himself a Christian, makes it clear that idol worshipping is a definite threat to Christianity. Although he chose to make no comment on Beowulf pagan burial rites, the character of Beowulf himself is not particularly concerned with Christian virtues like meekness and poverty, and although he clearly wants to help people in a Christian sort of way, his motivation for doing so is complicated. Gar is perhaps the character who least fits into the old pagan tradition, and some readers see him as modeled after an Old Testament biblical king. Okay guys, so that is the summary and analyzation of the Beowulf poetry that our group can convey. Hopefully, the information we provide can increase your knowledge. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.